Hello everyone, I hope we're all having a wonderful day. Okay, what we're going to look at in today's lesson is basically to finish off the Constitution. When I say that, it is a document we will keep coming back to throughout the entire American course. And some of the points we'll discuss, I'll have a look at in today's session as well, are things you'll be able to add to, write more about when we looked at the other institutions of the United States, how they operate in practice, and then you can have a think about, how do these things live up to, if you like, the principles of the Founding Fathers in the Constitution. So, what we've looked at in lessons and previous videos are all the main features of the Constitution: separation of powers, limited government, federalism and new federalism, and we've had discussions and stuff about how far federalism is still in existence today. I know our state rights being protected, for example. So we've done through all of that essentially. So basically what we just now need to do is just do some final stuff just to evaluate the Constitution. You need to think about, when we're doing this, about how far does the Constitution meet the desires of the Founding Fathers? Does it do what it's supposed to do, I suppose? And then the final little bit then is some comparative stuff with the UK. So in your booklets, there's a table called "To what extent does the US Constitution promote democracy in the USA?" This was an exam question on the old exam about 4 years ago now, possibly even longer. And it's quite a nice question because obviously a point you can often make is actually democracy wasn't actually a key feature of the original Constitution, but it is a form of limiting government. So there's a table there. So what you need to do is use a combination of the family brain cell to try and think of some points. There's also in the Jenkins textbook, which is quite good on this, they've got a little section on this. So let's read the computer and find the exact page for you. Page 411 and 412, they kind of discuss to what extent there's democracy in the Constitution. So use a combination of that and think of some points yourself for and against. And again, just be aware, potential exam questions, see which points are natural counter arguments and marry up and try and put them opposite each other potentially. Try and think of some examples as well of the Constitution promoting democracy, and examples of the Constitution perhaps not promoting democracy. Okay, once you've done that, what I've then done, just to try and make you evaluate all these principles in order to lead you to a big evaluation about, does the Constitution do its job essentially, I've basically put down the main aims and principles on this table of how effective has the Constitution been upholding its principles. So the left-hand side, it goes on, do you want to two sides? No, it's all on one side. You've got the principles: limiting government, federalism, checks and balances, separation of powers. I think by federalism, what I really mean is protecting state rights. I think I keep meaning to change this document. If I did it again, I'll put in brackets, protecting state rights. So you need to think of examples of how the Constitution has been effective at ensuring limited government, ensuring state rights, ensuring checks and balances are in place, ensuring separation of powers, etc., etc. Think of examples and stuff to say, actually, it hasn't been that effective in those areas. There's been some weaknesses. The Founding Fathers will be crying in their graves at what has happened. And then finally, overall view, it's like your own conclusion. Do you think actually the Constitution has or has not been effective? Again, potential exam question. Well, to be fair, in the exam, they seem to putting two topics together. So it'd be more like something along the lines of, about the view that the Constitution or pressure groups are more effective at protecting state rights or something like that. But anyway, just think about if there was a question, if I had the view that the Constitution is no longer effective at upholding its principles, that's a bit of a mouthful, okay, then obviously you base it around these principles, wouldn't you? So you choose 3 out of the 4 there as your paragraphs, you do your fors and your against, and then etc., etc. So that's just to make you think about. So I don't think there's actually a thing in the textbooks on this. You have to use everything that we've done to think about how effective or otherwise the Constitution is at doing those things. I really suggest that you read the article on Politics Review on Teams about limited government. I've asked you all to read the article about Washington doing too much or too little based on federalism. There's another article as well on teams from Politics Review, written by Andrew Culloch, called The Constitution and the Security State. And that's looking at, in the age of terrorism and the need to protect citizens, how good has the Constitution been at kind of protecting state rights, so individual rights, and also protecting citizens at the same time. So again, that's a well worth read, and I think there's actually a couple of questions on a table or something from the article in your booklet as well. So I'm suggesting you read those. I want you to read the Washington one, definitely, but I'm suggesting you read the other ones, because that will feed into good answers and better answers. And especially if you're looking to get good marks in politics, then I would strongly urge you to read those articles. So once you've done all that, hopefully you'll have quite a good evaluation of the Constitution and know some of the strengths and weaknesses. Then the final thing we need to do, of course, is, as you all know, one of the glories of this exam are the comparison questions. And as I've done in the previous video, and I've probably had a chat to you about it before you listen to this video, in either a Teams meeting or individually, you need to do 3 paragraphs of comparison in comparative questions. And you'll notice at the back of your booklet, I've got a section, it's got a picture of the American flag and UK flag to show its comparison, and it's got comparisons between US and UK constitutions. And I've basically thought of potential areas where they could ask questions based on the exam specification. So, checks and balances. So you try and think of 3 similarities in checks and balances if you can, between the US and UK constitutions, just in case you ask the question, explain the similarities in checks and balances in the US and UK constitutions. Try and think of 3 differences. Same for separation of powers. Might be tricky to think of 3 for that one. Regional power, i.e. devolution, federalism, limiting government, source of the constitution, etc., etc. Again, 1 or 2 of them are quite hard to think of 3. To be fair, 1 or 2 I've struggled myself with when I've done them, but it's worth trying to think of 3 now. So if one of these popped up in the exam, hopefully you think, oh yeah, I've revised this. I know from the top of my head 3 differences in devolution between US and UK, and off you go, basically. So that's all there for you to do that on. Now there's a little bit in the Bennett book at the end of the Constitution chapter. There's a little section where they put comparing US and UK constitutions, I think he's called it, within that chapter on the Constitution. There's also a nice bit in the Jenkins book as well at the end of the chapter on the Constitution. So I would use a combination of those 2, because I think one of them, I think it's provisions, I've actually suggested you look at the Bennett book, page 51 I think it is, for it. So try and think about some of the similarities and some of the differences, but also do have a read of those 2 textbooks at the back, because they might help you with some of these. And again, you can always give me a chat, send me an email or chat to me at some point to say, Paul, I can only think of 2 differences between this. Can you think of a third one? And the answer might be, no, I can't. But it might be, yes, I can. Okay, so what we're going to do then, to finish off the Constitution, is to do the comparison table. Okay, have a real think about it, because it is important that we do know some of these comparisons. Do the table about democracy. The Jenkins book is quite helpful on that, and then do the table about the principles and to what extent they're still in place. And again, use your notes, use your family brain cell, do the stuff from all the reading you've done in the Constitution to get some points to say it's been effective, it hasn't been effective. Okay, any problems then let me know, and I'll no doubt see you in the not too distant future.